Hello, Contrarians listeners. Here we are, Alex and Julio, the Contrarians. No intro music. That's how you know this is serious business. This is a more serious announcement. But we wanted to share with you. We wanted to announce something that we're going to be doing on the main feed. Every now and then we have these special projects that come in and out of our usual schedule, and this is one of those. Except it's a little more relevant. I think it's not a big revelation that if you're living in the US specifically, we are in some dark, troubling times. At least if you're the type of American that Alex and I are. I guess there's a type of American that's fist pumping every time they see the news these days. And if you're one of those, I am shocked that you're even listening to our show. But also, this is most definitely not for you. You should probably walk away.
Get the fuck out of here!
But Alex and I, we obviously lean left. We are pretty dissatisfied, to say the least, with the way things are. And I don't know that. I mean, I would like to think that comes through on the episodes that we do. I mean, we don't really lean hard into political commentary because that's not what we do. But we do make jokes at the expense of the insanity that's happening in the United States, specifically under the Trump administration. And I guess it's gotten so bad that it almost feels like it wasn't enough. And it's not that I would like the show to be more political, but and I'm not springing this on Alex. Obviously, we've talked about this before we started recording.
What?
But it felt like I wouldn't want to accidentally make someone feel like these are normal circumstances to be living in. You know, it was like, oh, the Contrarians, they're just making fun of everything. They're doing their usual thing. So it can't be that bad. At the same time, I don't want it to turn into like the Contrarians complain about Trump and his cronies every episode. So where do we find the compromise, Alex? What do we do as a podcast about movies that somehow would like to acknowledge and let people know, like, hey, just so you know, yes, it is fucked up. And so we came to this, which is this series that we're going to try to release, I guess, maybe hopefully once a month, that is just still about movies. We're going to talk about movies, but they're going to be movies that are a little more related to what's happening today, specifically immigration, which is something that I'm an immigrant. I'm a U.S. citizen now, but, I came in with a green card. I had to go through the process and whatever. And I guess there's that specific button that has been pushed lately that has really bothered me. Maybe, everything has been bothering me, but that in particular, I'm like, there's some things, Alex, and I don't know if how you feel. I mean, you can tell me now. I watch the news and I'll try to take a step back and be like, I know this is bad, but I can't necessarily articulate how bad it is because I'm not an economist. I am not like a social political major or anything, right? But there are other things where I just go like black and white. I can tell you this is, this is bad. And so when it comes to the way that this administration is treating immigrants, the way that it's turned, I don't know, half the country maybe. I hope that it's less than that, but against immigrants, the way that's turning immigrants to scapegoats, like that, I can feel very confident saying that it's categorically a bad thing. And so,
also, if you voted for him and you're surprised by this, go fuck yourself. Like, yes. I think that's the biggest thing about this is he literally said this is what he was going to do. And there's people now acting like surprised by how much strife it's caused and how much it's wrecking families and homes. So, yeah, you don't get to be surprised now.
Yeah, you can't. And at this point, you can't even say, oh, the media is not. There's no. I mean, it's inescapable. Right. It's just because you could say anti-Trump media is showing this as like in a negative light. But I'll tell you this, pro-Trump media is celebrating it. So it's getting reported on both ends. It's just how they report it. So in the spirit of, again, we're not like political commentators, but what we can do, Alex, we can celebrate immigrants. We can celebrate immigration and diversity and all those things that seem to threaten the extreme right-wingers these days. And the way that we do that, because we're a podcast about movies, is by talking about movies that have to do with immigration, with the immigration experience. We're starting with a batch that we will reveal in a minute. But of course, listeners, feel free to throw your picks at us. Let us know what you would like to hear us talk about. We're not going to do the whole contrarian thing when it comes to these episodes, unless there's a movie there's one actually that I think we will. But for the most part, this is going to be more like what we do on the Patreon channel, where we just talk about the movies. There's still going to be fun conversations. I mean, patrons kind of tested our bonus episodes over there are, I think, pretty entertaining, even without the Contrarians gimmick. But they're going to be mostly focused on stories of people coming to America from other places and their struggles and their triumphs. And I think it's a very fertile ground for conversation when it comes. And there's, ideally, we're going to be tackling good movies. So it's not just that. We're going to also, another thing that's relevant to these times in America, and also something that I think is a pretty black and white issue. We're also going to be tackling movies about fascism. So maybe this is how we end up talking about Inglourious Bastards, Alex, on the show. Before we get to that, though, I have a couple others that I'll throw your way. The title, Alex literally just came up with it right before we started recording, and I love him forever for this. It's the title of this series is Fresh Immigrants, Rotten Fascists. I guess if you had to boil it down to an acronym, it would be FIRF. FIRF?
FIRF.
We're not going to try to do that.
No. Quit trying to make fetch happen, Julio.
No, it'll just be Fresh Immigrants, Rotten Fascists. I think it says it all. It's very much in theme with our show. This is we're going to be tackling just the first batch. We're going to be talking about The Visitor, which is that movie that got Richard Jenkins a Best Leading Actor nomination.
You can't just take people away like that. Do you hear me? He was a good man, a good person.
Then we're gonna go on the fascism side. Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator, which that's the one where he plays Hitler, or a Hitler look-alike.
Hitler-like character.
In der Blitzensektor Knut! Hey, ich blei noch straff mit der... Baloney.
Then we're going to be doing In America, which is a movie about immigrants.
We came to America because we had to get away from things. The Irish built Manhattan. So my dad says.
Jimon Hunsu from Never Back Down. He's in it. Also from many other good things, but we just did a Never Back Down episode on Patreon.
Gladiator, for example.
Gladiator. Amistad, of course. I always bring up Amistad. This one I haven't seen, but it has a pretty good reputation, and I've owned the Criterion for a while. It's called A Face in the Crowd, and it's, if I am not mistaken, it's about the rise to power of a populist leader, which, sounds like a story very familiar to America in the past decade or so.
I'm not just an entertainer. I'm an influence, a wielder of opinion, a force. A force.
Oh, if they ever heard the way that psycho really talks.
Minari, I have seen, that was nominated for Best Picture a few years ago. That one has Steve Yeun as the father in a family of immigrants.
What a wonderful day to be in the house of the Lord. If you're here with us for the first time, please stand. What a beautiful family. Glad you're here.
And then this is the one that I think we might just do the full Contrarians treatment, because one, we've talked about it on the Patreon before, and two, because this is a more lighthearted movie and it should be fun. The Terminal, Steven Spielberg's
God bless
ode to immigrants, embodied by the wonderful Tom Hanks. How can you not talk about The Terminal when you're talking about immigration movies?
I'm going to need the passport also.
Oh, okay.
No,
No,
Mr. Navorsky. Beyond those doors is American soil. You are not to leave this building.
And there's more, I know. The trick with these, Alex, is that, we may end up doing a bad movie just because if we tackle one that neither of us has seen, or if we tackle one that maybe, we thought it was good in our memory, and then we revisit it and it's not that great. But in the end, it's just about the conversation. So I think that we may run into movies that maybe are not 5-star movies, but they're still interesting conversation pieces. I mean, I can tell you that neither of us is interested in talking about movies that highlight the other side. Like there's no other side when it comes to treating immigrants like humans and decrying fascism. So whatever movies we do are going to be very clearly aligned with our beliefs, and it'll be fun. As far as the logistics of how this works on the podcast, or at least for us, this replaces one of the after hours. So once a month, there'll be an episode that instead of having an after hours, it just doesn't. And instead of recording an after hours, we record one of these, and everybody benefits because it's not going to be just on the Patreon feed, but instead it's going to be on the main feed. I'm sure patrons won't mind because our patrons are wonderful people, and I would like to think that they would celebrate these new series and they'll join them. I mean, it doesn't end when we stop recording, but also we want to talk about, how you feel about these things, how you feel about these movies after we post the episode. So I am looking forward to this, Alex, in a very selfish way. It's the ultimate selfish way. It's just me trying to feel like I'm doing something else besides voting and attending a protest when I can, right? This is something else I can do with the things that I do in my life. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to try to dedicate a little bit of it, a little bit more to speaking out, speaking up. I mean, I don't know. Ultimately, if what we do is offer some comfort, some entertainment to somebody that thinks the way we do and is sometimes feeling hopeless or distraught about everything that's happening, then, that's the goal, to help you remember that there are people just like you that feel just like you and that are still trucking along and trying to make things change. So Alex, as I said, is being wonderful, not just for coming up with a great name for the series, but also for saying yes. And when I said, hey, how about we do this?
Absolutely. When he proposed, I was like, yeah, man, lead the way. Obviously, given the climate of everything, I'm on board, but also just knowing that we kind of go back and forth with these mini series and whatnot that we do. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. There's some movies I've seen in here, some I haven't. So it should be, it's something for us to do in the face of what's going on right now. So I think Julio stressed it, but it should be stressed also. We'll be having real conversations about these. It's not going to be our usual extremely facetious selves. But
we will be having fun. I watched The Visitor, or rather, I rewatched The Visitor a couple days ago, just to make sure that I wanted to use that movie on our first outing. And there were a couple of things that made me laugh. I was like, okay, this should be fun to talk about with Alex. So, don't worry. It's not going to be like all gloom and doom. In fact, it'll probably be the opposite. And if you are a listener of the Contrarians that is not a fascist, that doesn't hate immigrants, but you also don't really feel like hearing us talk about these movies, because it could also just overload you, right? And that's fine, because our regular episodes are going to be there on the feed, and we won't judge you. We'll only judge you if you're a fascist, or if you're
correct,
or if you're racist and cruel to immigrants. So anyway, that's the announcement. Don't have a solid date on when this is the first episode is going to drop, but you'll see it on your feed, and we'll announce it on whatever episode we're recording at that time. So thank you for listening. We look forward to sharing this with you, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Take care.